Hi, I did a Don't Settle challenge where I challenged the women in the wife ready community to wait for God's best. We had a number of speakers to come in and share their heart each night about the importance of waiting. One of the speakers you're going to hear in just a few minutes, Constance Darby, has been single, never been married before, but in her mid 30s is engaged to be married. She is someone who has waited well and refused to settle than anything less than God's best. I know you're going to be empowered by her story and her journey. Here's Constance.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I am so happy to be here with you all this evening. I'm going to tell a little bit about my story, a little bit of background, and then I think you all are going to have question and answers at the end. And so I am truly an open book. So whatever questions you have, you can ask me. And I'm going to I have some notes written down, but I may kind of jump here and there. So just bear with me. And this isn't in my notes, but it just came to me the fact that I'm really happy that I'm able to share with you all just 2 weeks out the gate, because I think there are times that women, they're like a year in, 5 years in, and it's like they're trying to speak to singles. It's like, wait, sis, you've been laying up with brother man for 5 years. Like, do you really relate to what I'm experiencing right now? And I still can't relate. I still, just 2 weeks ago, was a single woman. Yes, we were dating, but a single woman, and I am still quote unquote single, of course, if I have to fill out a form until we are officially married. So I am not far removed from the season that many of you all find yourself in. So yes, I am the oldest of three girls. I'm happy that, well, three. I'm happy that she shared that. I have two younger sisters. One of my sisters is, I'm 36. So that's also important, right? I'm 36, so I don't want to call it a late bloomer. This is just the season that I am in as far as the transition from Miss to Mrs. I have a younger sister who is 2 years and 9 months. So basically about 3 years younger than me. She's 34. She will be 34 next month. And then I have a baby sister who is 26, and we're 10 years apart. So I have two younger sisters. And the reason why I'm telling you that and their ages is because both of my younger sisters are married. And I, right before I hopped on with you all, I had to text them. I'm like, y'all, because of course, we have a sisters group chat, right? So I text both of them. I was like, how old were both of you when you got married? My brain can't really think about it. I don't feel like calculating. And they both were 24. So I saw my middle sister, the one right under me, walk down the aisle about 10 years ago, and I was single. And then about 2 years ago, my baby sister, who is 10 years younger than me, walked down the aisle, and I was dating, but still single and not married. And so many people ask what that looked like for me. And I was fine with it. I was totally fine with it because I knew that God had a purpose for me. God had a plan for me. Now, did I ever cry? Oh, I absolutely did. One of the times that I cried, and I can be honest and transparent, it was Christmas. And we were all at my parents' house, and my sisters, they left because when you are dating or married, of course, you got to spend time with this family and you got to spend time with that family. Well, both of my sisters left, and it was just me and my parents. And just a flood of emotions came over me. And so I don't want to say that I never had a moment. I don't want to say that I never, had a tinge of emotion, but it did not consume me. I didn't put marriage on a pedestal or something that I had to achieve or was going to die if I didn't achieve it. Like it was something that I desired, but something that I did not have to have if that wasn't God's will for my life. I decided at a young age, and even as Miss Kim shared a few minutes ago, I decided to be a successful single. I decided that was my goal, was to be a single, but do it successfully. I'm not talking about financially or status or platform. I'm talking about to live that season, live it well, and live it out in a way that at the end of the day, my life still has meaning and still has purpose. In 2017, So what is that, like 5 years ago? I actually spoke at my first Wife Ready event. So this is the second time that I've been able to share on the Wife Ready platform. And I remember I spoke on at the event, and it was a very good event. I enjoyed sharing with the ladies that were present at the event. And I remember saying that I'm not passively waiting, I'm actively living. I'm not passively waiting. Passive means to kind of sit back and kind of let life go on. I wasn't passively waiting in my single season. I was actively living. And that's what I want to encourage you all on this evening as you wrap up this Don't Settle challenge, is that you still have to live and live well in this single season. So some of the things that I was able to do, I love to travel. So I've traveled. Now traveling is like the thing now, but when I used to travel a lot, everybody wasn't traveling like they do now, but I love international traveling. I wrote a book. In my single season, I wrote a book, published a book on my own because I knew that my life had meaning and it had purpose. I've, purchased my home, purchased vehicles. I grew my relationship with the Lord. That was important for me in my single season. And then I found my passion. I found what I like to do, what Constance likes to do, what I feel that I'm here to do, all in my single season. And I think a lot of times when I was around single friends or just being in those circles, a lot of times we as singles would wait, feel like our ministry wouldn't start, our purpose wouldn't start, our destiny wouldn't start until we're married. And I want to say, like, that's totally not true. Your purpose and your destiny starts now while you're waiting. There's so much to do in this single season while you're waiting. I had, shortly after I announced the engagement 2 weeks ago, someone reached out to me and said, well, what is the formula? What is the formula? How do I get to where you are? And unfortunately, there is no formula. There is no pray him in and manifest. Those things are important. And I do believe that it's important to cover your future husband, but that is not always going to be the for sure way that you're going to get a husband. There is no formula. I can't tell you anything I did or didn't do to make this happen. I wish I could, because we all would be walking down the aisle, eating cake and feeling great. But there is no formula for getting the ring or getting the proposal or getting the man. But there are some things that I believe that we can do in the meantime. I jotted down, I want to say 3 things that we can do in the meantime. And one of those things is to work on yourself. Work on yourself. Like, that is the most important. And you can never get to the point where you are finished working on yourself. There's always things that you can do. There's always things that you can achieve. There's always things that you can accomplish. Work on yourself. You know what you need to work on. Like, I can't tell you, I'm going to tell you some things that I did, but you know what the things that you can work on in this season. So for me, I worked on paying off debt. Like, that was important for me. I literally said, I need to get rid of this. And that's what I did for me. I didn't wait on anybody to come and help me and add another income or all that. I wanted to do that for me. Another thing that I wanted to do for me was to have a good workout regimen. I know these are like kind of trivial things, but these are things that I wanted to do for me. So I don't have to, wait until I'm trying to get into a gown or wait until I'm trying to do this. No, I can work on me now. So I love that, and I started working out, I think like three years ago, going outside, running and riding my bike and doing all these things. And I found that I really like doing that. So I'm working on myself. Another thing that I did to work on myself, ladies, is I had to shift my perspective and my attitude, my perspective on life, my perspective on the way I see things. Like, that has been the most pivotal thing for me to do is to shift this perspective. You know, I'm the oldest of my mama's children. Okay, so so I've been with my mama the longest, longer than the other my sisters, and so I have a lot of her ways. So I've had to change different perspectives, things that I've seen, things that I've experienced. How do I want to view life? How do I want to view marriage? How do I want to view relationships? How do I want to view friendships? So I've had to work on having a different perspective. You know, the song that says we got to break every chain. Those are some things that I had to work on. I still have to work on, even in my single season. I posted, and if you want to follow me, I'm going to tell you all something at the end, but on Instagram, I posted that I was going to be doing this talk with you all tonight. In the top of my post, I put, don't settle on being the best version of you can be. When we talk about don't settle, I completely understand, and we may get to the settling part in a little bit, but it's so important that you don't settle on you. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like, don't settle on being your best. We know that you're not going to settle on a horrible man or a man that's not good for you. And I don't want you to do that, but I also don't want you to settle on being the best version of you that you can be. That is important. There are a lot of people that I feel are getting married, getting engaged, and they are not bringing their best selves into the relationship. And it's so important. Like, you have to I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but if you need to work on things, if you need to change some things, if you need to start doing better with your household chores, if you need to start doing better with your finances, why not bring your best self to the table? Why settle? Why give your future husband less than your best? Why not level up? Why not bring your best foot forward? So don't settle on being the best version of you that you can be. The second thing that I think that you can do in the meantime, not that this is a formula, but some things that I did, is know what you love. Like, know really what you love. Know who you are, so that nobody can come and try to tell you who you are. Be okay with who you are. I love to travel, so that's just something that I like to do. And so when we get married, we'll be doing more traveling and going. That's just what I like. I already know that. If you don't want to get your passport stamped, then we might not be able to, that's what I like. Know what you like and be okay with that. I like Christian music. That's just me. That's just what I like. So, and my fiance knows that. So when we got engaged the other week, it was so amazing. And if you follow me on Instagram, I will post our video tomorrow. But I walked in and Christian music was played, and he had different sections in different areas, and then in one section, he had CC Winans' Goodness of God. I'm gonna pause right here because that's when I went in, y'all. Because that song says, all my life you've been faithful. Many of you may know that, and so many people have sung that song. It's been rearranged in the past year or two. But it says, all my life you've been faithful. And as I walked into that particular room, I thought about the fact that God has been faithful all my life. At this point, I knew he was about to propose, but it wasn't that he's been faithful today because I'm about to get engaged. No, he was faithful all my life. Everything God has done has been good. And a lot of times as single women, we look at the engagement, the proposal, the wedding day as that's the amazing part. But that's just a part of your story. That's not the end of your story. God has always been faithful. So he knew that what I like, because I expressed what I like. He knows that I love my family. I know. So the things that are important to me, I know that, and he knows because I share that with him. But I don't have to. I'm not a blank canvas where somebody can come and project what they want on me. No, I know what I like, and I'm okay with what I like. So that's number two. And then the third one is kind of self-explanatory, and you probably can gauge this one on your own. Is to continue to grow your relationship with God. Continue to grow your relationship with God. It's so important for me to start off my day in the Word. It's so important for me to find podcasts that I like. One of my favorite, it's not really a podcast, but it's a TV show, but I watched on my phone, is Better Together on TBN. Like, I love everything they say. I'm soaking it in because it's good sound doctrine. But find something that you like, but grow your relationship with the Lord. You might not like Better Together. You might like Cora Jakes, or you might like her sister, Sarah Jakes Roberts, whatever the case may be. Find something that you like, but grow your relationship with the Lord, and make sure you are filtering your ear gates and your eye gates so that whatever goes in is positive going out. That was also very important to me. You know, I was talking to Miss Kim the other day when she wanted to chat about the proposal, when I finally was able to like get up and breathe, because it was just so overwhelming and so emotional. And I shared with her, not this exact word, but something to this effect. And I said, you know, marriage is not the final destination. We're not living to be married. Like, for the single woman, marriage is not the final destination. For the single man, marriage is not the final destination. As a believer, if you are a believer, our final destination is eternity. And so many of us live for the wedding day, and that's just a part of the book. In the post that I shared about a few minutes ago, I put at the end, like, this is just a new chapter. I'm entering a chapter as a wife, but the whole book has been good. Like, this is not the end all be all. It's been good up until this point. It's going to continue to be good. I'm just walking alongside with a partner. But if God had never brought it at this time, it would still be good. It would still be amazing. And so I don't want any single to feel like this is the end all be all. This is just a part of the chapter. So the last thing I'm going to say is, if you want to follow me, not that I'm trying to get followers, but if you want to see the video that I'm going to post tomorrow of the engagement, it's Constance D. Darby on Instagram, Constance D. Darby on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's just Constance Darby. And the spelling is all on my screen so that you can see the posts of the video for tomorrow. So Miss Kim, that's all I have. I don't know if you want to start with questions before we get into everybody else, but that's really all I have for now.
That's amazing. Anybody have any questions for Constance?
You're welcome, Armana.
Hi, thank you, Constance. How long were you engaged? I mean, how long were you dating your fiance?
Okay, we started dating in March of 2020. We were a pandemic relationship. Yes.
That's awesome. Was that an online introduction to each of you guys?
Yes, it was an online introduction. So going back,
Oh,
I didn't tell about that. So we had a mutual friend. Do you all remember if you're on Instagram, sometimes they do it on Facebook, where it's like, tag your phenomenal sister, and then you would tag all these people, and then she would copy your picture. And so my friend copied my post, and that's how he saw my picture, and then he reached out to me. But he asked her first, and she gave him the rundown, like, okay, this is who she is, and this is who she really is. And so that's how we connected.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any? The same question came up in the chat. How long have you dated before you were engaged? Actually, I don't know if you answered that. How long did you date before you were engaged?
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
2 years. You did say that. Okay.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years. And you know, ladies, I've had some I don't want to say lemons. I've had some heartache. I will say that. I have had some heartache. I've had some disappointments. I've had some failed relationships. It has not been easy by any means. It has not been easy. But the wait has been worth it. The wait has truly been worth it.
Yeah, and it is worth it, because when we work for God's best, it's always worth the wait, and none of the time that we none of the time that we wait is wasted.
This is the first marriage for both of us. Yes.
Constance, you covered all of them. I mean, there are like literally no questions. Every night they've been flying through here, which is, I'm not surprised because you're an amazing speaker.
What were some of the struggles you went through in the waiting? You know, listening to Ms. Kim at the beginning, like some of the things that you wish somebody else would help you do, those were kind of like the struggles that I experienced, like wanting that help, wanting somebody to do not just necessarily do some of the things, but just wanting help in this journey. Another struggle would be, there are times where you wonder if I don't want to say if my standards are too high, but that's probably something that you all have chatted about. Okay, I see your questions. I'm gonna come back. That's some of the things that you all, I'm sure you have discussed. Will somebody want somebody who is truly saved? Will somebody want me because I'm gonna wake up and have my devotional time with the Lord? Because that's not as common, right? And so that was something that was a struggle, because I have a relationship with the Lord, and so I wanted somebody to be able to accept the anointing and the calling that's on my life. Okay, I'm gonna go back up. Okay, did you have accountability partners? He has, on his side, he chatted with his pastor and another minister at his church. So he kind of talked with them in the beginning of the relationship. And then I have friends who were married. My mom, I would talk to her. So from that perspective, we did have accountability partners. I like when you said, okay, thank you so much, Renee. Did he already have a relationship with the Lord before you all met? He did have a relationship with the Lord. And I think this is something that I figured would come up. And so I'm glad you asked that, Kim. He does have a relationship with the Lord, but if I can be honest, it's not where mine is. And I was talking to a friend, and I'm going to say two things on that. I was talking to a friend a little while ago and kind of sharing that with her, where I think a lot of times we want them to be exactly where we are. And I'm not saying I missed out on anybody. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying I lowered my standards, but I want to give him the same grace that God gives me, because I don't get up every single morning, and I desire to. That's my desire. But there are some mornings I might sleep late or whatever. And so I can't judge his relationship and his standard. My parents have been married for 38 years. And when my parents married, my father was not where my mother was. He knew the Lord, but he wasn't where he is now. He has grown. And so I had that example, and I have those other godly examples where men, I'm not saying that I would date somebody unsaved. That is not what I'm saying. I don't want to put that out there or make that projection. But what I am saying is I don't want to be the barometer for his faith. And so I want him to grow. So I have seen growth in the 2 years, and I felt like that was important. I've seen him say, hey, let's pray about this. Let's do this. Let's worship together. He works at a church, so he's exposed to church. So those were some of the things that I've seen in the past 2 years. But are we at the same level? I don't believe that we are on the same level. But I'm not on the same level with a lot of my friends. So that's that as well. Okay, what was different about him from your lemons? What I can say is he, just like I had a grace for him, he has a grace for me. And he was willing to see me evolve to where I am today, just as I was willing to see him evolve. I will say that sometimes we have an expectation of them, but they also have an expectation of us. I didn't come extremely perfect. I listened to something recently, and Miss Kim, you tap me if I'm kind of going outside of your, I listened to something recently, and it's a fake story, but it was a profound story, ladies. So tap me, Miss Kim, if you don't want me to tell this.
I'm sure you're okay.
Okay. And it talked about is this fictitious building, right, ladies, in New York. Some of their buildings are nice and high and beautiful. And it said that women are allowed to come in here. It's like a man factory. And women are allowed to come in here to get the man that they desire. And so they walk into the first level of the building, and all the men on this level, they treat their women well. But you can go to another level to get more. You can settle and take what's on that level. And so most women go to the next level. And she's like, no, I want to see what's on level 2. So on level 2, they treat their women well, but they also help with the house chores. And she's like, oh, that sounds so good, but let me see what's on level 3. And on level 3, they treat their women well. They help with the house chores. And they also will give you a back rub at night. Okay, she's like, wait a minute. Let me go to level 4 because I wonder what's on level 4. They treat their women well. They help with the chores. They do back rubs and foot rubs, but they also help with the dinner. And she's like, wow, I'm going to keep going up. Now, mind you, she can go ahead and take what's on the bottom levels, but she continues. And it's like, they treat their women well. Let me go ahead and add, and they have a relationship with the Lord on level 1. Treat their women well and have a relationship with the Lord. Level 2, they help with the house chores. Level 3, they give back rubs. Level 4, they help with the cooking. Level 5, they, something else. And she's like, no, I think I want more. And so they get to the top level and there's nothing there, because we want more and more, and we want more and more and more. And we don't want them to grow. We just want them to come ready made. Well, across the street is a whole building for the men, and the men go in there and they have the same scenario, not the same exact standards, but they have the same type of situation. Well, in the first level, she loves and respects him. Okay, he's like, okay, well, let me see what's on level 2. Level 2, she loves and respects him, and she cooks and cleans. Cool. Level 3, she loves, respects him. 1, loves and respects him. 2, cooks and clean. Level 3, she watched sports with him. He checks out. He's good. He's done. Because women, we have so many things that we want, and not to say they're bad things, but sometimes we have to say, I'm not really the perfect. I'm not really the dime. I'm who I am, and I come with baggage, and I come with flaws, and I come with mistakes, and I come with the history, and I'm not perfect, so I can't look for perfection in him. He's got to be a man of God. He's got to be a man of integrity. He's got to be a man of honesty. He's got to be a man who, loves the Lord and all those things. But I'm not looking for the perfect man. So how did I know he was different than the lemons? Because he accepted me at level 3 and wasn't trying to expect me to be a level 10.
Oh, good. The grace to grow.
Yes, Joyce Meyer told that story. I hope I did it justice. But if Joyce did it, then I know it's okay. Let me go up. Okay, so is this a long distance? We both live in the Houston area, so it's not long distance.
Constance, there was one before we got into the question. Someone asked, how did you know he was the one?
Oh, did I miss that one?
Yeah, but go ahead.
It was basically, he was able to stick with me as I grew. I talked to you all earlier about those perspectives and those mindsets, and that mind, especially as you get older. Many of you, I'm looking at your pictures. I'm not judging you by your pictures, but I'm sure we're around the same age. So we have been single for a minute. And we have some perspectives, and we have some mindsets, and people have spoken into us. And I had to get rid of some of those things that were toxic to my growth and to who God was making me and developing me. So I knew he was the one because he was able to walk with me through some of that growth and through some of those things that I needed to be a better person. We wanted each other to be better than we left. If we were however we were leaving each other, we wanted each other to be a better person. Okay.
Love it.
What are some of the questions you asked? I don't remember, but I remember we would go and look at like websites, like questions to ask. Like we would go on those little go on Google and like find questions. I don't remember some of the specific questions, but we would just find random questions and start asking each other. Have you traveled while dating? We have traveled. We have traveled while dating twice. That's beautiful. Were you expecting an engagement? Okay, I want to see if there's any more questions before I answer that one. Oh, thank you, Pamela. So are there any more like serious questions? I'll tell y'all about the, no, I knew about the proposal. Okay. So Ms. Kim, if you can put that picture back up and then I'll share. So his name is George. And so George told me that we were going to a wedding. He told me maybe like, let's say like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, that we were going to a wedding on this particular date. So I said, okay, so I'm an accountant. I'm very analytical. I'm not going to say I'm nosy, but I'll figure it out. So I said, oh, okay, so who's getting married? He said, well, it's this guy named Billy that goes to my church. And I said, oh, okay, well, who he marrying? What's her name? Oh, I don't know her name. Okay, well, that was number one. Because if you done got an invitation to somebody's wedding, then I'm sure you would know who the bride is. So then he said one night, he's like, well, I'm going to wear this jacket to the wedding. And I said, you can't wear white to anybody's wedding. So that was like number two. And then he was asking me, well, what are you going to wear to the wedding? And the fact that he was kind of asking, I don't know, I just kind of was like, I think that is something up. So I did know that I did know that he was going to do it, but I didn't know how he was going to do it. So yes, I did have a feeling.
I love that picture.
This was a picture that we took after the event. Like this is just a reenactment.
What venue is that? Where's the location?
His sister owns Grooves. If you're in Houston, she owns Grooves. So this was at Grooves. It's like a nightclub. Awesome. You should frame it. Oh, thank you. Any more questions?
Hi, I have a question. I think I have two questions actually.
Okay.
So the first question is, did you run into like any communication issues or like any schedule conflicts where you felt like you weren't getting the time? I know you said you already had made yourself pretty busy and active, but now after you had met him, like was it an issue with communication, time, busy schedules?
Yes. It was communication was big at the beginning, and it wasn't the schedule. Well, it started off a little bit with the scheduling because I had been single for 4 years before I met him, so I had already kind of had my groove with life. So there were some communication scheduling types of things where you have to and that goes back to that perspective and that mindset where you have to kind of be more willing to sacrifice and shift things around. So that yes ma'am, we had a lot of communication conversations at the beginning. Age difference. He's 44, so there is an age difference. I'm 36, if you remember from the beginning. Is he your type? He is now my type. Was he my type when he hit me up in the DMs? No, man. But let me tell you this. I have been with my type, and I'm okay with not being with my type.
That's so good.
That makes sense. I've been with my type.
I love that answer. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that right now. My type has not served me well, so I need to get over myself and
Yeah.
grow.
And that was that kind of growing um with him, not just like the physical type, but some of the other things like, okay, he might not be doing A, B, C, D, but he treats me better than any of my type ever would have. I mean, period. Period.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it very